What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be watching a video titled "The Brooklyn Bridge Should Have Been Impossible in the 1870s." There's a lot of things that should have been impossible at the time they were made. I think like the most popular thing is the pyramids. Like, how did she do that back then? I've never seen them in real life, but yeah. So let's see what this video is about and how I guess the Brooklyn Bridge was built.
This is the Brooklyn Bridge. You've seen it 1,000 times. Postcards, movies, Instagram. But the part that should impress you is down there, buried under the river. How do you build a bridge across a waterway when there's no solid ground beneath it? In 1870, the answer almost killed everyone who tried. New York and Brooklyn were two separate cities at the time. More than 130,000 people crossed the East River every single day on ferries, and the ferries were a disaster. Fog shut them down, ice shut them down. In winter, you could be stuck on the wrong side of the river for weeks. So why not just build a bridge?
That's crazy.
Two problems. First, the East River is almost 1,600 feet wide. That's longer than 4 football fields. Second, it's one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. You can't just fill it with bridge supports and turn the water into a maze. Only one design could pull this off: a suspension bridge. 2 towers, cables stretched between them, channel stays open. But we have a small problem. In 1870, suspension bridges had a real habit of falling down, and the man who said he could build one anyway was about to become the bridge's first victim.
Oh my god. Okay, this video is more intense than what I thought. That looks so freaking scary. Did you guys see that?
Channel stays open. But we have a small problem. In 1870,
look at that. Oh my god, I'm scared of bridges now.
Suspension bridges had a real habit of falling down, and the man who said he could build one anyway was about to become the bridge's first victim. His name's John Roebling, a German immigrant and engineer. 63 years old and already a legend. He had completed 6 suspension structures in America, but this was going to be his masterpiece. A bridge across the East River, 50% longer than anything ever attempted on Earth. He wanted to build it out of something nobody had ever used for a major bridge: steel. Every suspension bridge before this used iron cables. Iron was proven. Iron was safe. Iron was also, for a span this long, going to snap. Roebling did the math. Steel had twice the tensile strength. It would hold. In June 1869, the federal government formally approved the plan, clearing the way for construction. 3 weeks later, John Roebling was standing on a ferry slip on the Brooklyn waterfront, surveying the spot where his bridge would rise. A ferry came into dock and crushed his foot against the pilings. He refused the doctors.
Oh my god, imagine how much that hurts. Oh my god. Oof, there's just some things. One thing that traumatized me, let me traumatize you all, there was this question in a Would You Rather game, and it was like, would you rather put lemon in open wounds, or would you rather have a toothpick below your big toes nail and kick the wall? Oh, imagine that, having a toothpick below the nail of your big toe and then kicking a wall. Ugh, I can't. That's been on my mind ever since, and it's been years.
Treated it himself with water. The wound got infected. 24 days later, tetanus killed him. He never saw a single stone laid. The bridge had taken its first life before construction even started. It would not be the last. In August 1869, a 32-year-old Washington Roebling, Civil War veteran and the dead man's son, took over. Now he's running the biggest construction project in American history, and almost immediately, he hits a problem his father had underestimated. The East River was tidal, salty, and treacherous, and beneath its surface, not rock, just layers of silt, clay, and glacial deposits. To anchor the towers, Washington had to dig through all of it down to a firm foundation. On the Brooklyn side, That meant going down 44 feet, all the way to bedrock. On the Manhattan side, 78 feet, and they still hadn't hit rock. That's deeper than a 7-story building, except you're going down. So how do you dig an underwater hole that deep? With 1870s tech, no scuba gear, no submarines, and no modern pumps. Washington turned to a technology that had only been tried a handful of times, the pneumatic caisson. You build a box around the hole, and you send men inside it. Here's how it worked. Picture a cereal bowl. Flip it upside down. Push it into a sink full of water. Notice how a pocket of air stays trapped inside? Now, imagine that bowl is the size of half a football field. Built out of timber beams, 15 to 22 feet thick. Open on the bottom, sealed on the top, and pumped full of—
What on earth? Wait, this is kind of cool, but what on earth? How did they do that?
Of compressed air to keep the river out. That's a caisson.
This is either madness or brilliance.
The men climbed down through an iron tube, sealed in an airlock, then waited while the pressure cranked up to match the chamber below. Only then could they open the bottom hatch and drop into the box. What they found down there sounds like a nightmare. The air pressure was 35 pounds per square inch, the same pressure a scuba diver feels at 78 feet underwater, except scuba divers don't stay there for 8-hour shifts. The lighting? Calcium lamps that hissed and flickered, also known as limelights. The temperature? About 80 degrees and humid. Workers stripped to the waist, sweating in the dim light while icy water lapped at their feet. They shoveled out muck, hauled rocks, blasted boulders with dynamite, yes, dynamite, inside a pressurized wooden chamber. The pay for this? $2 a day. A modest premium over common labor, but not nearly enough to match the risk. About $50 in today's money. And that's when the real nightmare began. Inside their own blood. Here's what happened. As pressure dropped, nitrogen in the blood didn't stay liquid. It turned to gas, forming bubbles that tore through muscle, blocked blood flow, and lodged in the spinal cord.
Oh my god, I wonder who wants to work in a place like this? Like, why? Why? Who?
When men resurfaced, they would double over, unable to straighten their spines. Despite the pay, the turnover rate was so high that most men only lasted one shift before vowing never to come back. Doctors were helpless.
I bet.
They theorized the air was too rich. They prescribed ginger ale, cold showers, and leeches. None of it worked. While official records cite only 20 to 30 deaths from the caisson disease, the true number is likely closer to 100. And then in 1872, the caisson claimed its most famous victim. Washington Roebling worked alongside his men, once staying underground for nearly 24 hours to fight a fire. In the spring of 1872, after a rapid ascent from the Manhattan side, his body broke. He was carried home and never returned to the construction site.
Oh my god.
At 35, he was half blind, voiceless, and in constant pain. For the next 11 years, he watched his bridge being built through the telescope, sitting at a window in Brooklyn. The brain of the project, trapped in a body that could no longer reach it. Then his wife stepped in. Her name was Emily Warren Roebling.
Oh my goodness, this is way more intense than what I thought going into this video. I was thinking this is gonna be like, they used blocks to make the bridge, and then they put block after block. I'm emotionally invested now. Also, he was not the brain. His dad was, and his dad also was gone, which is very sad. I am in shock.
She had no engineering training, none. She was a 28-year-old woman in 1872, in a country where women couldn't even vote. But she became Washington's eyes, his hands, his voice. She relayed his instructions to the site and defended his designs to the board. And here's the part that gets me. For over a century, the official story was that Washington Roebling built the Brooklyn Bridge. His name was on the plaques and in the textbooks. Emily got a footnote. Today, there's a small inscription on the bridge that finally acknowledges her. Her first test, getting the towers out of the river. After the caissons settled, the real vertical climb began. The towers had to rise over 270 feet above the water, taller than any building in New York City except the spire of Trinity Church. For 4 years, workers hoisted massive granite and limestone blocks using a pulley system powered by steam engines at ground level.
Oh, goodness.
By mid-1873, the Brooklyn Tower had reached 164 feet. The Manhattan Tower lagged behind at 88 feet. The Brooklyn's tower's arches were completed by August 1874, and its saddle plates, the crucial fittings that would hold the entire
This is crazy.
bridge, were installed that December. The Manhattan Tower wouldn't catch up until July 1876.
And it took so long to make it as well. I mean, obviously, but I wonder if they were like working on it every single day. How much progress a day would that be? But this sounds very like a very, very painful process, like very slow and difficult. It's crazy.
The work was brutal. Meanwhile, the project had burned through its original $5 million budget. The city had to beg the legislature for another $8 million to finish construction. But the towers stood.
A little over budget.
2 stone giants anchored to the riverbed, ready to hold the longest suspension bridge the world had ever seen. But the bridge wasn't done yet, and the next disaster wasn't underwater. It was the cables. May 1877. The towers are up. Now they need to spin the wires. Each main cable would hold over 5,000 individual steel wires, bundled and squeezed under massive tension, 4 cables total. The entire bridge would hang from them. If the steel failed, the bridge fell. This made the steel supplier the most important man on the project. His name was J. Lord High. Charming guy, well-connected. Came in with a fair price. He was a fraud. High supplied weak, brittle wire while swapping out inspected batches in a Southbrook.
How could you do that? It's a bridge. I mean, I understand. Do that, like sell fake jewelry, I don't know. But a suspension bridge where people are going to go on top of and you're like, that's nasty. Okay, that's nasty work. I could have been alive in that. I could have, maybe in my past life, I was a New Yorker and I was passing through that bridge, you know? You can't do that to people.
Warehouse. By the time Washington Roebling's engineers caught him, 221 tons of defective steel were already spun into the main cables.
Oh my goodness.
The problem is, you can't unspin a suspension cable. Once those wires are bundled, tensioned, wrapped, and locked in, they're permanent. You'd have to tear the whole bridge apart to remove them. Roebling did the only thing he could. He left the bad steel inside and ordered 150 extra wires added to each cable. High paid for every one of them. High's bad steel is still inside the Brooklyn Bridge today, right now, as you watch this. The bridge has been holding it up for 140 years.
That's crazy.
With the 4 massive cables stretched across the river.
No. I can't go into skyscrapers. I can't go on the Manhattan Bridge. Soon I won't be able to live anywhere because I'm just scared.
The bridge finally had something to hang from. Now came the part that would turn it into a structure. High above the water, workers began assembling the roadway, one piece at a time, suspended in midair. 6 enormous trusses, each about 33 feet deep, ran the length of the bridge, locked together by crossbeams into a rigid triangulated spine. This web truss design, insisted on by John A. Roebling, turned a flexible suspension bridge into something far more stable. By early 1883, the skeleton was complete, a lattice of steel suspended in the sky, ready to carry nearly 17,000 metric tons of load. All that remained was the...
But if you're driving on the Manhattan Bridge and it falls down, it's pretty... You can survive, no? Right? Right?
surface. a central elevated promenade for pedestrians running above 2 outer roadways for carriages and 2 inner tracks for trains.
Holy
The bridge was
cow.
no longer an idea. It was ready to open. May 24th, 1883. After 13 years, 4 months, and $15.5 million, the Brooklyn Bridge opened to the public. It was called the New York and Brooklyn Bridge and wouldn't be renamed until 1915. An estimated 150,000 people crossed the bridge that day. President Chester A. Arthur walked its length beaming. That night, a massive fireworks display lit up the East River. The papers called it the 8th wonder of the world. 6 days later, the celebration turned into a disaster. Roughly 20,000 people packed the narrow wooden promenade. Then, a woman tripped. Someone, maybe seeing her fall, maybe just feeling the bridge's natural sway, screamed. The crowd erupted. Those behind pushed forward. Those in front, hearing the scream, tried to push back. 12 were crushed to death against the iron railings
Oh my
or
goodness.
trampled on the stairs. 35 more were maimed or seriously injured. Public confidence in the bridge collapsed overnight. People stopped crossing it. They were terrified. The disaster left New York terrified that the bridge was a death trap. Then came one of the most
Only because someone fell?
famous publicity stunts in American history. The greatest showman in America, P.T. Barnum, had a problem too. The city had refused to let his circus parade across the bridge earlier that year. He took it personally.
Ain't no way. They paraded over the bridge.
But when Barnum got his revenge a year later, the bridge got its rescue at the same time. After the stampede had eroded public trust in the bridge, the city came back to him. On May 17, 1884, P.T. Barnum led 21 elephants across the Brooklyn Bridge. Bringing up the
No
rear was
way.
Jumbo, the most famous
That's crazy. Jumbo. Oh my god. Was there elephants in New York? Nowadays, can the circuses even have animals? I don't think so.
elephant in the world. If elephants could cross it safely, surely people could too. It worked. The fear dissolved. The crowds returned. But familiarity doesn't mean understanding. The Brooklyn Bridge still keeps secrets. Here's something most New Yorkers don't know. Inside both stone anchorages, those massive granite blocks at each end of the bridge, there are vaulted chambers. For decades, the city rented them out as wine cellars. Champagne, imported
Interesting.
wine, all stored inside the foundations of the Brooklyn Bridge. The vaults had inscriptions on the walls. Who loveth not wine, women, and song, he remaineth a fool his whole life long. Then in 2006, workers exploring one of the chambers found something nobody expected. A Cold War fallout shelter, sealed off and forgotten. Stocked with water drums, medical supplies, and survival crackers,
Oh
all
my
dated
goodness.
1957 and 1962.
What? But 1957. Oh, okay. It was built in the 1870s. Right.
The Brooklyn Bridge has been hiding a doomsday bunker for half a century, and nobody knew.
That's crazy.
Now, let's go back to where we
Somebody must have known. Somebody took it there.
started. The Brooklyn Bridge was the impossible thing of its age, built by people who had no business attempting it, with technology that barely existed, at a cost that broke bodies and budgets and an entire family. And 143 years later, it's still standing. So here are my questions for you. What is the impossible thing of our age? And who's going to be brave enough to climb into the next hellbox to build it? If you want more stories like this, the ones they don't teach you in school, stick around. We've got a whole channel of them. Hit subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Well, this definitely gave me more respect for the Brooklyn Bridge. That is crazy, though. Like, the amount of work that went into that bridge. I don't know how I feel about it now. I don't know. It's kind of scary, and it's been up for 140 years. Insane. But thank you guys for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video.